Hello, everyone. It's Sunday, April 2nd, 2023. Here's a special weather update on the incoming storm. Brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. See them at cowboystatedaily.com. Also being brought to you by WYDOT. Well, here's our storm update. We haven't had any significant changes in from where we were yesterday when we gave you the update. So we'll kind of fine-tune the details a little bit. Our confidence remains high. So it's not a matter of, is this storm coming together? It's going to. And it's important to point out, the storm is going to come in two phases. We've got phase one, which is going to be tonight and into Monday. This first phase is going to bring snow overnight into Monday morning into southwest, parts of south central Wyoming, western Wyoming, northeastern areas of Utah, and eastern Idaho. There's going to be some moderate to heavy snow developing those areas tonight, and then it's going to spread into the central parts of the state, so it's going to impact big chunks of I-80 and chunks of I-25 in central Wyoming. This is going to be kind of just a steady, heavier, let's say early spring snow that is going to fall as this main storm digs in from British Columbia and just produces an area of snow out ahead of it. Also, parts of northwest Nebraska along the Pine Ridge by tomorrow morning could kind of get on the eastern edge of it. And we'll show you how these two phases will unfold in terms of where the precipitation will fall. Now, phase two is when the storm jumps over the Continental Divide, becomes better organized, and intensifies. This is where a lot of I-80, and I should have put I-25 in there, I-80 and I-25 will be hit hard. And this is really going to focus the bullseye of this storm into these following areas. Now, these are the counties and the areas I think that will get the heaviest snow. It doesn't mean the only areas getting snow. If you're north or south of these counties or these locations, you're still in the action. But the bullseye, so to speak, is going to be in these counties. And there will be some locations that will go 1 to 2 feet with this storm when it's all said and done. Many areas are headed to 6 to 12 inches, some areas 3 to 6. Again, it all depends on where you are. But those are the areas that I think are headed towards the heaviest snowfall. The southern edge of the storm, as we discussed yesterday, is still in question. It's a game of inches. Literally 5 miles, 10 miles difference of the track of the storm could mean that Laramie or Cheyenne or both and the southern Nebraska panhandle could either get a couple of inches of snow or a lot more. Literally, it's just a 5 or 10 or 15 mile shift is going to really cause a big difference on the southern edge. What we're going to see is a very steep gradient between where the heavy snow falls and where it doesn't. It'll be like falling off a cliff, a very defined edge. And that defined edge, we're confident, is that most of the Colorado Front Range not going to get into the action with this. Colorado Mountains will, but only up near the Wyoming border areas, northern Weld, northern Larimer counties, up into those areas will get in on the edge of the system. So most of Colorado's Front Range will escape this storm. So here we are this morning, and by afternoon, that upper level low is coming in from the Seattle area and diving southeast. This is by tomorrow afternoon. It's moving into areas just west of Salt Lake. The combination of cold air coming in on the trough, warm, moist air getting pushed out ahead of the system is going to cause what we say many times on this podcast, an overrunning event where colder air along I-80 and north of I-80 is overrun by moist Pacific air. So what this will do is this causes the first phase, the first round of the storm. And this is where between tonight and this is through 6 p.m. tomorrow. So where you want to look are the darker green and the blue and the yellow colors to see where the heavier precipitation will fall. So this is phase one. So you can see the Salt Lake area across Uinta County, Sweetwater counties, Wyoming. Basically, this is where we're concerned about Interstate 80 travel late tonight and early tomorrow morning. But by the same time, let's say later in the morning Monday, during the afternoon hours of Monday, there's going to be this other area of enhanced precipitation falling, and this is going to be almost all snow. It's plenty cold enough for all snow. There might be a little rain at the start, but this is going to be mostly snow. So this area right here, by 5 p.m. Monday, there's going to be snow on the ground and snow falling, and some of it could be quite heavy. So you can see Fremont County, South Pass is involved with this. parts of areas of far western and southwestern Wyoming as well, but also I-25 into Colorado and maybe I-80 in far southern Wyoming, not quite in the action just yet. So there's phase one, and this is what phase one snowfall amounts look like by late Monday afternoon and evening. But as the system digs south, we're going to see another phase develop. This is a little bit of a closer in for the same time frame through 6 p.m. on Monday, where the snow will be falling. Then by Tuesday afternoon, the low gets east of the divide and really winds up and becomes intense. But as the low continues to dig, there's going to be a period of intense, what we call dynamics, a lot of lifting of the atmosphere. At the same time, there's going to be a period of time of upslope developing east of the mountains across Wyoming during the evening and overnight hours of Monday into Tuesday morning. We think late Monday afternoon and overnight Monday into the early morning hours of Tuesday is when this storm really intensifies, and then it lifts up and it bombs out up over Minnesota and the Dakotas, where there'll be a lot of wind and at times blizzard conditions developing. This is by noon Wednesday. So here's the second half. This is the second part of the storm. And this looks very similar to yesterday, where we have this axis of heavier precipitation just like this. And again, there could be a north shift, a southward shift as well. But if you were to draw a center line through the axis, and even though there may be some southward and northward shifts, those areas we highlighted yesterday are still in the bullseye of what will come with this second wave. And the second wave is going to have the wind with it and the big drop in temperatures. Yesterday we mentioned that it is going to get very cold with this storm, very cold for an April storm. So this is the second phase of the storm, and you can see the 10-to-1 ratio, and as we mentioned yesterday, the 10-to-1 ratio may be on the low end because it is going to be cold, so the snowfall amounts may be heavier than this in some locations. If we put it all together, add part one, part two of the storm together, this is the snowfall total that we go through 6 p.m. on Wednesday. So we can see that it's similar to what we showed you yesterday in terms of the bullseye. Then if we were to focus in a little bit closer, you can certainly see I-25, Interstate 80, and Interstate 90 is on the edge, right on the edge, but into South Dakota, I-90 is in the bullseye there. As we mentioned, the central and southern panhandle of Nebraska, extreme southeastern Wyoming, this area right here is where the biggest question mark is. Just that little minor change in the northerly or more southerly track will really play the difference there. Colorado's Front Range and Eastern Plains, western Kansas. Unfortunately, you're not going to get the needed precipitation you need with the system, but you will get a lot of wind. And speaking of wind, very strong winds developing Monday and Tuesday in New Mexico, southern Colorado, the panhandles here. And then what we're starting to see here is the wind increasing by Tuesday noon and Tuesday afternoon in these areas here. And as the storm intensifies, look at the wind gusts up into the Dakotas by Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. This system will likely produce blizzard conditions at times. As we mentioned yesterday, a dangerous storm for young, weak, and newborn livestock. So the storm's on the way. I do have some good news I think after this storm, we may be talking about a warmer, drier trend, especially a warmer trend that will be developing in the west. We'll update you on that tomorrow. In the meantime, get ready for the storm.